Get ready to start trimming the fat, America. House Republicans are pushing for massive spending cuts in the upcoming reconciliation bills in order to enact President Trump's agenda. Budget Committee Republicans speaking by phone last night on a blueprint, but already there's disagreement.
Some conservatives are pushing for at least $1 trillion in spending cuts. Others want as much as $5 trillion. But the current $500 billion proposal is nowhere close to meeting conservative standards and would likely be dead on arrival in the Senate. Joining us is South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman. He's on the Budget Committee, and he joins us now. Congressman, if I know you, it's because you're a fiscal conservative. But some of the numbers, I got to be honest, I don't know where or how you can possibly cut that much money unless you get into mandatory programmatic spending. And then it begs the question, OK, so what would you cut?
First of all, it's great to hear these Democrats who are elitists, who are used to spending other people's money. I love seeing them go crazy now. They're doing it at every level. No, it's time to get specific now on cuts. Now, $500 billion is a teardrop in the ocean compared to our debt, compared to what we can cut. You know, what's uniform among all politicians, particularly Republicans, is when they campaign, we're going to campaign on conservatism, cutting government, cutting fraud and abuse, cutting waste. It's just now's the time to show it. And we've been given a gift of a lifetime with President Trump in office and reconciliation, where, you know, you don't have to have but 50 plus 1 with the vice president to pass legislation. And we just what they're talking about on the resolution is coming up with want to start off with a baseline of $500 billion. I'm sorry, the interest alone is over over $800 some odd billion on interest. And so it's time to take a scalpel to it, and we want to set a bar that's between 2 and 5 trillion, and then have the debate. What Elon Musk is doing, the great part that he's identifying the USAID, he's going to do that across the entire budget, and you're going to have more cuts that he will expose. But we've got to let the American people decide. We, the people, are going to have to put the pressure on the politicians to cut.
Congressman, you got to give us some ideas, though, of what you'd cut, because there's so little in discretionary. You talk about the interest on the national debt this year, and then our defense budget would add up to maybe $2 trillion. And you're not cutting either of those.
Well, no, and you can't cut Social Security or Medicare. But discretionary is where it's going to have to come. And look at the only thing the Biden administration has
Congressman,
done well.
hold on. I know the budget pretty well. There's not $2 trillion in discretionary. That's discretionary. That's where the Department of Defense is. So are you going to slash that in half? I mean, after you get on servicing the debt, then you get onto the Department of Defense, then it tails off in a big, big way. Less than 10% of the money that goes out the door is discretionary spending. The rest of it is mandatory programmatic. So if you say discretionary, what?
You look at EV mandates, the $1.7 trillion. You look at
that's not discretionary
incentives. Well, it's going to take a master list to pick from. But all I'm saying is, Jason, there are things that we can easily cut, that everybody has got an advocacy for the dollars that are spent in Washington, D.C., just like what you're hearing now from the Democrats.
Can you name one?
But
Can you name one that you would get rid of?
Well, I would get rid of the IRS agents. I would get rid of the new FBI building. I would get rid of so many of the incentives that go to things that should not be funded or incentivized in the first place. It's the private sector. And we're having a time with it. I'm not saying it's easy, but to come up with $500 billion as the baseline and saying that the CBO may not score it right, I think we can do better than that. And that's if we can't do this, if we can't agree with it, then we got a problem in Congress.
We'll see you soon, Congressman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congressman Ralph Norman.